The light phenomena here in Hessdal in Norway started in late '81, with a lot of sightings. At the most it was 20 sightings a week.
And I'm impressed with Hessdalen itself, because Hessdalen is really a UFO laboratory. It's a place where things are happening and where things can be studied.
Well, once we used a laser to point to the phenomenon when it showed up, and it reacted. Well, it was at that time a flashing light, and when we pointed the laser beam to it, it changed the flashing frequency. It doubled the flashing frequency, and we take it down again, and it went back to regular flashing. And we did this test 9 times, and in 8 of those 9 times it changed the flashing frequency.
But it's not an exclusive American right to see UFOs. One of the most credible witnesses we interviewed was an Australian minister, the Reverend William Gill, posted before the time of his sighting to the Anglican mission in Boinai, Papua New Guinea. One night at 7:45, as he stood with 38 other people at the edge of the mission playing field, every one of them saw the same thing.
Can you imagine what it's like to look up in the sky and see a totally foreign-looking object there just hovering, not very far high up, maybe 200 or 300 feet up in the air, and glowing, and 2 bipods jutting out from behind it, from underneath it, and sparkling all around, and some figures up there. This solid-looking object, and figures walking about on top, and not the slightest noise whatsoever. And so we waved. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get this object down onto the playing field? And as we waved, wondering whether we'd get some recognition and whether perhaps they would understand what we wanted, they waved back. So I asked a boy to go quickly down, bring me a torch, bring me a pencil, bring me paper, and return as quickly as he can so that I can get any other events that occur and minute-by-minute movements, so that at least we'd be able to talk about it the next day. And this he did very, very quickly. He brought it back, and he brought the torch and put the torch on and shone it to the craft. And as he did so, he waved moved the torch this way, and we were dumbfounded when we looked at the craft, and the craft was as though it was responding to the torch. It began to do this too, like a disc-shaped object, just moving the same way, responding to the movement of the torch. Next day, just prior to the evening service, about 7 o'clock, the thing was there again. It had arrived about an hour earlier, and we all decided to have the normal evensong that we do have on those nights, because, the thing was out there outside the church anyway, and we felt it wouldn't go away during the service, and it didn't. When we came out, there it was, still up in the sky. And so for another hour or two we watched, and then suddenly it did go, and there was this amazingly incredible speed that the whole craft disappeared to nothing across the bay in a matter of a second or so.
Pelly Crossing has a total population of less than 300 people, 80% of whom are First Nation. It's 282 kilometers northwest of Whitehorse on the banks of the Pelly River. Most of the work is in government, providing services such as education and health. The main employer is the Selkirk First Nation. A small part of the economy is hunting, fishing, and trapping, and it was trapping that had Don Trudeau out on the land on December 11th, 1996.
And when I come into that clearing, I noticed out of the corner of my eye a strange light, and I turned and looked at it. It was a green beam, and I thought, oh, a 747 is coming down. And then I looked at it, and it was moving very, very slow. So I turned to get a full view of it, and when I turned, my flashlight beam pointed in that direction, and that thing was 3/4 of a mile to a mile away when I first saw it. And as soon as my flashlight beam turned, that thing went whoosh, and it was about 300 yards away, really, really fast. And when it did that, I covered my light. And then I stood there watching it, and I could no longer look at it without turning and looking at it by turning my head. Out of the back of it was two lights, two white beams that were down on a 45-degree angle, and out of the front of it was a green beam, and those beams had to be about 4 feet in diameter, both the one in front and the two behind. I couldn't see the shape of the hull. It was dark of the moon. There was no moon, but I could see that a great portion of the sky was blacked out, the stars. I couldn't see the stars. And I watched that for probably 4 to 5 minutes, and very, very slowly it kept going to where it was coming behind me, and it was starting to disappear behind the treetops. So I run across that little clearing, probably about 4 or 5 steps I was across. I turned around and looked, and it was gone.
It looked like something that huge shouldn't be moving in a straight line at that speed, to my mind. Everything was kind of, I was really surprised to see it. I was excited, scared, and all these emotions sort of surfaced at the same time.
Well, at the time it was just awe. This thing could move so silently. There was no motor sound. It was just floating. And in how I understand aeronautics, it can't do that. So I was thinking, geez, you know, this is amazing. And then after that it left and was gone, I thought, geez, why did I cover my light? I might have been able to go up there and visit with those whatever. And then after this happened, I got home probably around 10 o'clock, and they were watching a video. And believe it or not, that video was Independence Day. And they were just watching the scene where the alien ship opened up and shot the blast down. And I come in, you know, all excited. You'll never guess what I saw. And so I relayed my story, and then all of them became very, very frightened. In fact, our grandchildren didn't want to go out for a good week. They didn't want to be out at night.